And then she started welling up all the tears and then went into hysterical crying. Not like a, like, now it's time for another story about how my impressions have gotten me in trouble. Okay, granted, most of the times I didn't get in trouble, but they're still fun stories. So a while back, I used to work at the Disney store. Like when I first moved out to LA, that was what I had to do to like make ends meet. They're all gone now. You guys remember those beautiful Disney stores? Like when you were a kid in the 90s or the early 2000s and you'd walk through a mall and there was that gleaming, beautiful Disney store. Man, I can't forget it. When I was a kid, that was the coolest place because I grew up in Texas. I was nowhere near Disneyland or Disney World. That was so special. So I used to work at one of these Disney stores. And also, this does not reflect the views of Disney Company. Everything I say is my own opinions. I guess, should I say that? I don't even know if I need to say that, but I'm gonna say it just in case. And when you work at the Disney store, at least the one I did, we had 3 main positions that you could run. You were either at the register, or you were roaming around the middle of the store, helping out guests with whatever they need, or you were at the front of the store, which also meant that you were greeting. As a cast member at the store, you have to work all 3 of those positions whenever they ask you to, but 9 times out of 10, I was put on front door duty, which was totally fine with me. That was my favorite place to go. I love to welcome people in. I love to hopefully like start their Disney adventure on the right foot, even though they're just gonna go look at toys and stuff, but you know, there's still some magic you could bring to it. It felt like I was a part of like a miniature Disneyland, even though there's no attractions or food. Or half the thing people like about Disney, yeah, it's just the merch. But still, it's fun! So being the guy that I was, and, you know, doing all these voices that I do, I would often welcome in people to the store using Disney voices. Because that's just fun! So yeah, especially if a kid walked in with like a Mickey Mouse shirt, or a Donald Duck shirt, or Goofy or something like that. I'd say like, why there, welcome to the Disney store, pals! Come on in! You know, stuff like that. And, you know, I'd get people excited about being able to come check out the Disney store. But there's something about my impressions that most adults don't realize. You'd think that every kid would think this was the coolest thing on the planet, but most of them don't get it. Like seeing a grown man sound like their favorite cartoon characters just doesn't register in their brain. They don't quite get what's going on half the time. Some of them do, but the vast majority of the kids that I have done this for, like their parents get so excited like, oh, come here, little Timmy, come here, listen to his voice, and then I'll do it, and they just sit there going, I get it. I don't get it. Weirdly enough, as much as people keep thinking that what I do is like more geared towards children, it's the adults who get excited. It's the adults who like freak out, or at least like teenagers. Like in that age group, they get that this is a talent and it's hard to do. What? Kids don't get it. They're not impressed. They're not amazed. They're just sitting there going, why is this weird man talking so strangely? But when I worked at the Disney store, this was still early in my career, and this is when I started to realize this thing with the kids. Because so many times I would welcome a kid in with a voice, the parents would go nuts, they'd think it was awesome, they'd be excited, but the kids just didn't get it. So fast forward a few months of me doing this. I keep welcoming guests. Most of the time I do it in my own voice, but every so often I'll throw in a Disney character. But then one day, there's a girl who walks in wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. So I go to her and I say, oh boy, hiya there, pal, and welcome to the Disney store. Then she froze as I was talking to her. Her eyes got huge, and then she started welling up all the tears and then went into hysterical crying. Not like a, like, I leaned back and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, what happened? And I'm so glad her mom and dad were cool about everything, but her mom and dad were sitting there kind of confused also, just like, honey, what's wrong? He just did a Mickey Mouse voice to you. It was really cute. What's wrong? Then she just pointed at me with this glare in her eyes. I will never forget it. That man ate Mickey! Now just put yourself in her shoes for a second. You're on a fun day with your parents out at the mall. You happen to see a Disney store and mom and dad finally say, yes, we can go look in the Disney store after you've asked them I don't know how many times to go. You walk in and the first thing you see is a short, stocky, bearded man who walks right up to you and has just eaten your favorite Disney character. Just imagine being in that childhood, my perspective. I started to freak out. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I'm about to just ruin this child's day. Oh my gosh. But luckily, we had a sale on plush toys and they were up at the front of the store. I grab Mickey real quick off the shelf. I put him right in front of my face and I start using like the hands and everything, and I make a full-on puppet show out of it going, "Oh no, Belle, no, I'm just fine. I'm right here." And luckily that worked. She grabbed the Mickey, hugged him, and was so excited, and she stopped crying, and they went on throughout the store, and I had a moment where I was like, oh, I saw my employment flash before my eyes. Like, I eventually told my bosses and everything, and they thought it was funny, so like I was never in like a real danger of losing my job or anything. But from that day on, I only did impressions of characters we had plush toys of at the moment, and I could hold it and put it in front of my face every time a kid came in. And weirdly enough, when I just do the voices on my own, they don't get it. But when you put the character in front of them and then do the voice, then it clicks. I guess it has to do something with visual, because after that, every time I held Mickey and did the voice, every kid got excited. Every time I held, like, Crush the Turtle and went like, "Oh, dude, what's up?" Then they got excited. So I guess it's got something to do with, like, the visual aspect of, like, seeing the character and hearing the voice at the same time for that to be exciting. And even then, I know they're not excited about me. They're excited about their friend that I'm holding. They knew the toy wasn't talking to them. They knew it was me. But still, there's some sort of connection there that they just really got excited for. And a lot of times, like, they'd want to take the toy that I was holding. It's like, "I want to hold him." Like, "Sure, go for it." And then they usually walk out with it. That wasn't my plan to do that to sell more plush toys, but it was just kind of an accident. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbled in that regard. But yeah, as long as I live, I will never forget the time I almost traumatized a little girl. Alright, so that's all I got for this story. Let me know if you guys want to hear more stories about times my voices have got me in trouble, or heck, even just more stories about working at the Disney store, or more stories in Africa. I've got more to tell if y'all want to hear them.